The place you live.
The stories you share.
BBC, Coventry and Warwickshire.
A very good morning to you. Great to be with you here for a Thursday morning. Now, on this programme, we get to hear, and across Coventry and Warwickshire, honestly, across this radio station, the stories that we hear and that we're able to share with you. Amazing stories. Inspirational stories as well, and today is no exception. We're going to introduce you to a man who can give you one heck of a haircut, but he spent 5 years living on the streets and has also been on one heck of a journey before he ended up where he is today, running a barbershop in Rugby. If you're from the area, I am quite sure you will know who we're going to be talking to, Mr. Robinson's. Matt Robinson from Brownsover joins me in the studio today. I'm delighted to say a very good morning to you.
Good morning.
You've established yourself really quite well there in Rugby, haven't you?
I think we've got a strong foothold, through the grace of God. Here I am.
You really have. I'm not kidding. I'm from that area, and it is one. It's the ambience. It's the way it is. It's the way it's come about, and everything. It is. It's definitely
That's really kind.
We're gonna tell your story because it's an amazingly uplifting, inspirational story. But it doesn't start in an uplifting place. It starts in a place.
No, I don't think most things that are like that. It's just where we came from,
Yeah, absolutely. And this is you. It's your story. It's how it came about. And should we start from when you were on the streets? Is that a good place to start?
Yeah.
So can you give us an idea of how you found yourself living on the streets?
I think just where I was at the time, I was rebellious. I had a real bad attitude, a sort of...
How old were you?
At the time, 15.
15, 16,
yeah, 15,
teenage.
In that period of my life, rebellious, left school early because I had a bad attitude. Things were going wrong in my area. It's just how we lived. I didn't have the things that people had, and I didn't have the right mind for it. So I would go to school after sleeping rough, and then they would make me feel bad for the way I was. So I left school by choice.
It wasn't a safe place for you to be in terms of looking after your school?
No, because I was having to do things that I couldn't have the time.
I also imagine that's quite isolating. There can't be many people that would have understood you.
No, not at all. And I was ignorant to that, and I thought, people just hated me. People just were the way they were because, why not? But at the end of the day, I was ostracizing myself more. I have this thing now where I know that God was with me, but I just didn't realise it then, and I kind of fought it.
Did you realise, you say that you had a bad attitude. Did you realise that at the time, or were you just who you were at that time?
Yeah, I think a product of where we were from, because we didn't get the support. Because where we were from, if you were in that environment, then there was no opportunities for you.
By where you're from, do you mean geographically? Do you mean Brownsover, or do you mean
I don't want to put a bad spell on Brownsover. I love where I'm from, lucky, and the people there are great. It's where I am now. But I didn't realise, like what I have the opportunity to do now, how could I say it? Like where you're from is like a plant. And if you don't water it, everything dies. And we were living amongst rocks and weeds. And we had to do what we had to do. And if that meant skipping school to get money, then I had to skip school to get money. If I had to cut hair to pay the people off, then that's what I did. So it's just what we were doing to survive. It sounds drastic, and I don't want to, there were people out there worse than me. But
No, it doesn't sound drastic. It sounds real, is what it sounds. It doesn't sound drastic. It sounds real, and it sounds real to you, and it's your story. It's not something which sounds drastic. It might be a surprise to some people listening, that would think that could be happening on our doorsteps.
Even nowadays, and it's not getting any easier. Nowadays there's even worse things out there that are making people, and that's where the fight for what we have to do right
Well, and you're now in this unique position, having really experienced it. So we just mentioned there that people didn't understand you, and you're ostracising yourself in a way at the time.
Ignorance.
Because
really,
you
far
didn't,
from God.
you don't understand, and you don't understand that people don't get you. You kind of, as a young person, you assume everybody understands you, and actually, that's not really the case for anybody. But you're now in a really unique position, having experienced what you have experienced, to reach people who find themselves where you were. We'll talk a bit about how you do that. But let's just spend a couple of minutes talking about, you're on the streets, you've skipped school, you're still at school, but you're living on the streets. How long were you homeless for?
Up to 5-6 years. But I would crash at places. I would, there were several times, several months, weeks in a row that I was like nothing. 3 or 4 days hungry and nothing. And it got hard. It got really difficult for a long time. But then it was my daughter and my ex became pregnant. That was like a real wake-up call, a massive wake-up call, that I'm going to be responsible for somebody else's life on earth, and what example am I going to set them?
So there's a moment for you, a moment of light that's coming for you, that gives you the inspiration to try to do.
There was a big switch. At the same time, I got to this point in my life where I was elevated, because here I am. God is going to give me a chance to raise a child. You know? Wow, I'm so high. I'm so full of life, and everything started to change. And then about 6 months, Hannah, my daughter, my brother was diagnosed with a terminal ill cancer. And
we're hearing all of these things that are coming into your life at a time, which then become
it was
why.
a battle of consciousness. God lifted me up, and then I felt like God had threw me down again.
And we're going to find out what happened next, and how you get to where you are now, and how you're in this unique position to be able to help other people now. But we'll take a break. We'll have a bit of music. Tina Turner to come.
The place you live.
Moved to Coventry and Warwickshire. You with Lorna Bailey, very good morning to you. After 11, it's Mystery Hour. I've got some great music to play for you. Just got to work out what the mystery year is. And we've been speaking to Matt Robinson. He's been telling us about his story, really, his life, how he ended up on the streets, living on the streets, 5-6 years on the streets. Not a good time. And how he went from there to knowing he was going to become a father, having the devastating diagnosis that his brother had terminal cancer, and how that became, Matt, a real inspiration for you to actually look at your own life and go, I've got to sort this out.
Yeah, definitely.
We've got to change this.
Definitely. I had a choice, and it took me a while to realise it, but I was either going to live the rest of my life with a battle of faith, because I was into my religion, because I was a lonely person. I was ostracised from my family, but I sought comfort in my Bible, and I was at this crossroads, and it was kind of a case of, do I believe in a God that took my brother and was like that with me, or am I going to sanctify a kingdom where my brother now rests? And I must fight for that in order for that to come true. So if, and I'm sorry, but if I could just see him one more time, if I could, then I'll make sure that kingdom rises so I can see him.
You talked about using the skills that you've got in order to be able to now, because it's an incredible journey that you've been. I hate that phrase, but it really is. It's a physical
really
kind of journey that you've been on, and now you're in a position. You've got the experience. You know what it's like to be that person ostracised on the street.
Yeah.
You know what it feels like. You know the loneliness.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
So how are you using your experiences now to reach other people that find themselves where you were?
Well, what the Barbershop has given us an opportunity to do. When I used to go to the church and just rest and relax, I saw a hell of a lot of things going on in there. Local projects, homeless projects, food banks, things like that. And I'm like, how did I not know about this? So through cutting hair, we managed to speak to people that weren't part of, say, like the local congregation, but were just as willing and able to help.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow, that's a great idea. where I was working at the time, it just couldn't happen. So I thought I need to do something myself.
So you set your own barbershop
I
up?
set my own barbershop up that just so happened to be downstairs of where the locust homeless shelter was. And there used to be a queue in the mornings for breakfast and like things like that, where the guys would come and to register their name so they could sleep over that night.
Yeah.
And people were coming and getting a haircut, and they were like, wow, what's all these people? And I was just amazed that they didn't realise. So we spoke about it quite openly.
You've become like a conduit, really. You're connecting people, aren't you?
Yeah, this is like a bridge between the church and the community. And for me, that was great because, like, church, the word church is like a Greek word, yeah? Congra, whatever that. But it means the people.
Yeah.
So we wanted to put the barbershop in a place where people could come, and I would offer, say, look, if you bought me 15 quid's worth of food,
yeah,
give me the receipt, I'll cut your hair. That's fine, because we need to feed these people.
Because then you're feeding people and
the
you're able
church
to
where
really
I was going,
follow
we
through.
could take the food and we could feed the people.
I've got to get Bob Marley and the Wailers in before the news, but I know there's one other group of people that you said have been really keen, that you were keen to sort of mention, that have helped you in all this.
Right now we're getting a massive platform, the help from the guys from American Crew and Revlon. Laura, I know she's listening.
Hey Laura.
But they've been able to give us a real big platform, because this is getting bigger, it's getting viral.
Yeah.
That a lot of people are getting a massive interest on it, and it's reaching a lot more. Not just our community, but it's, I say the word, it makes me like feel amazed, but it's influencing things. It's getting bigger than just where we are now. Keep it handsome. That's our attitude. You know, you can look handsome, but what's the point if where you live isn't? So it's Pentecostal, if you like, that when people leave where they're coming from our shop, that they spread a good attitude.
They spread it. So, Matt, it's been amazing to talk to you. Thank you so much for being
I'm
on BBC
humbled,
Coventry and
honestly.
Warwickshire.
Thank you so much for having me.
I think you've probably humbled a lot of people listening, actually, me included. Thank you so much, Matt Robinson, Mr. Robinson's in. So give it a mention.
Thank you.